Hello everyone, this is a demo of the K-means clustering steps using Excel. Keep in mind, in reality you won't use Excel. You'll be using Excel Miner or Python or R or some statistical software. We're doing it in Excel to practice some Excel skills and also to know the steps. So the first thing is to assign clusters randomly or using gut feelings or experience. So that's what step one. I'm gonna copy the whole thing by doing clicking here and then Control C, and then I'm gonna create a new tab. I'm gonna call it step one, and then click here, Control V, and this was step one. I'm gonna highlight it. This was step one. Now I'm gonna create another tab, step two, and step two would be to calculate the z-scores of my variables. So click here again, click and paste. So step two would be to create the z-scores of my variables. So age, z-score, or I can call it normalized or standardized age, months, score, and then expenditure, z-score, equals the age minus average, open parenthesis, click on the first one, Control Shift arrow down or Command Shift arrow down, close parenthesis. Now I need to put a whole thing here in parentheses as a numerator. So click after the equal sign here, open parenthesis, click at the end, close parenthesis, divide STDEV for standard deviation, open parenthesis, and again I can type or scroll down and click on A2 again, Control Shift arrow down or Command Shift arrow down, close parenthesis, and then close parenthesis again, enter. What is the table STDEV? Let's see that it's fixed, and let's check it. So A2 minus average, okay, good. Now this formula will not work if I copy it down, because if I copy down, notice it's sliding down. I don't want to slide down for average and standard deviation. I want always to start at 2 and end at 31. So I need to put some dollar signs. For A2, I don't need to put any dollar sign, because when I go down, I want it to go to A3, A4, etc. For average, I do want it always to start at row 2. But I'm not going to freeze the A, because when I copy to the right, I want it to go to B and C. I copy to F and G. So I'm going to put dollar only before the 2 inside the average formula, and then same thing before the 31. Okay, so that's the formula for z-score. Okay, I'm going to copy it here for you so you can see it. I'm going to paste it as a text by doing the quotation and then paste it. So this is the formula. I'm gonna hover until I get the plus sign, bottom right corner, double click, that's check, that works. And then I'm gonna go here again, get the plus sign and drag it to the right. Let's check this. Yeah, it looks good. I'm gonna go again and double click here, double click here. So that's my step 2. Let's go to step 3. Click on create a new tab, call it step 3, go back here, click here, copy, go to step 3, click here, paste. Now I'm going to show you step 3. So step 3 would be to calculate the centroids for each cluster. Okay, centroids. So the centroids are just they're not real data, they're averages. It's theoretical dots in the data. So I'm gonna need the coordinates. It's gonna have coordinates. And then for each cluster, for cluster 1 centroid, and then cluster 2 centroid. So I need the age, average of ages for cluster 1, average of monthly score, and then average of expenditure score. You could have just copied this, Control C and then Control V if you want to keep it the same format. So here I want the average for cluster 1. So I'm going to use something called average if equals average if, open parenthesis. So average if, first the range on which you want to do the criteria, and then what you want to average. So I want to average if it's cluster 1. So I'm going to click on the column cluster 1 and then comma, and the criteria is if it's 1. So I'm going to click on where I have cluster 1 and then comma, what do I want to average? I want to average age. So click on column E and then close my parenthesis. This is not done. I need to do some $signs if I want to copy it to the right and then down. But let's start. Let's format it. Okay, now if I want to copy it to the right, I'm going to need to do some $signs. So the condition D is going to have to be frozen. Okay, I don't want it to change. So I'm going to go to the end of D and I'm going to do F4. In a tab, in a laptop, you have to do function then F4. Okay, or manually you can put $sign before the D and then the other D. So that's going to freeze the column D. Then J2, that's where my cluster is. I don't want to freeze the J, but I don't want to freeze actually the 2, but I want to freeze the J, because when I go right, I want it always to take J, but when I go down, I want it to take J3 for cluster 2. And then E, I don't want to freeze it, because when I go to the right, I want it to take the F and then G. So enter. That's the formula. Let's go down. Let's check. First, let's check this one. It looks correct. If cluster is J2, 1, do average of E. That's correct. And here, if cluster is 2, do the E average. Correct. And then I'm going to copy it to the right too. So I'm selecting both of them and getting my plus sign and spreading to the right. Let's check. That looks correct. If the cluster is 1, column F, and then here, if D is 2, column G. Correct. So that's my step 3. Let me put the formula here for you. Copy this. And then I'm going to paste it as a text here. Alright, that's step 3. Let's go to step 4. Step 4. So step 4, let's first copy the whole thing here, put it here. Select again, Control V. Okay. So step 4 would be the distance of each of the observations from each of the centroids. So I'm going to add some columns here. Click here, inserts, and then insert again. So I'm going to put here distance to cluster 1, or distance to cluster 1 centroid. Oops, I want to write. So Excel is smart. When you put it to the right, it's gonna do 2 for you. So the distance is equal to, we're gonna use the SQRT, open parenthesis, the age, the z-score of age, minus the cluster 1 centroids z-score, close parenthesis, and then caret 2 for square. And actually I have to put a parenthesis at the beginning here first. So I'm gonna put dollar signs later. Plus the z-score of month minus the z-score of the cluster centroid. Put those in parentheses. And then go to the end, do caret 2. Plus open parenthesis. Now if I click here, it's not going to work because of this formula being long, so I'm going to use arrows. I'm going to click anywhere, then go to arrows, use arrows, go to where I want, G2, minus where my expenditure z-score for cluster centroid, close parenthesis, caret 2, and then close parenthesis for the square root. Okay, so that's the distance. Now I wanna freeze it so that I can copy it down. Okay, let's see if I copy down, some things will be wrong. See, it's not going to the cluster centroids, cluster 1. So, but it's correctly taking the z-scores of that observation. So what do I need to freeze? Let's erase this. Here, E2, I don't want to freeze it, but M2, I do. So I'm going to go to the end of M2, I'm going to do function F4, and then at the end of N2, function F4, at the end of O2, function F4. Enter. I'm going to now copy this all the way down. It's working. Let me copy this formula here as a text. So that's the formula. Now, for this one, I'm gonna go here, select the whole text, Control C, enter, go here, click in the inside, Control V. This is a trick to copy the formula text as a text, so it's not gonna change things when there are no dollar signs. And here, I wanna change M2 to M3 and N2 to N3, N3. Let me fix what I accidentally erased, close and carets, and then change O2 to O3. Enter. Now, if I double click, that works. It's taking cluster 2 centroid data. Correct. So let me copy this for you as well. Insert. Copy this formula for you here, so you can see it as well. So that's step 4. Alright, I'm gonna do the next steps in a different video. Right, these are step 4. Thank you.